have a question for you all. Who here knows what a psychopath is? I'm not talking about someone who studies day and night for a simple class test. No, I'm talking about the term used by doctors. It is just a 10-letter noun, yet one of the most misunderstood words of the English language, around which revolves a seemingly minuscule but an incredibly essential part of the future. The Google definition of psychopath is a person suffering from a chronic mental illness with either abnormal or violent social behavior. A person characteristically described as cold, cunning, or calculating. It's quite a vague definition if you ask me. So let me paint a scenario so that you all can better understand the meaning of this word. It's an ordinary night in a crowded restaurant. A normal person, let's call him Thanos, sits on his chair casually sipping from his glass when all of a sudden he gets up and smashes the glass onto the table. He runs across the room to go hit it onto another person's head. Now what grave mistake had this person committed, you may ask? Well, nothing much. He had just bumped into Thanos earlier that evening. Seeing the commotion, a horrified friend of the victim, let's name him Tony Stark, he rushes to his friend's aid and throws a couple of punches at Thanos in his defense. A fight starts, and when the police finally arrive, a very calm and relaxed Thanos cleverly handles the situation and puts the whole blame on Tony. Don't we all have that one friend who tends to overreact in situations where they feel that they've been wronged? This is exactly what Tony felt. When he heard Thanos flat out lie, he felt so wronged that in a fit of rage he rushed to attack Thanos, but ended up attacking the policeman. So you see, two seemingly very similar people, both extremely violent, but driven by completely different motivations. In this scenario, Tony is just an overly impulsive and an aggressive individual who is driven by his extreme emotions. Whereas Thanos is what we would call a typical psychopath. Now, if we were to do a brain scan for a psychopath, because what better way to know what a person is feeling than having their brain scanned, right? Then the scan wouldn't show a lot of activity, signifying minimal emotional pathways. Psychopaths, you see, they have less communication between two key areas of their brain. The first of these structures, known as the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, is what allows us to feel emotions such as empathy and guilt. The second structure, known as the amygdala, is what is responsible for the processing of our emotions. It controls the levels of fear and anxiety. The amygdala in psychopaths, it's either deformed or underdeveloped. So it is the lack of communication between these two areas that makes them incapable of empathizing with others, remorseless for their actions, and gives them shockingly high levels of self-confidence. It allows them to be pathological liars who weigh everything on a logical basis and commit crimes on an extremely well-planned and calculated scale. Can I ask you all a question? Who here has a younger or an elder sibling? Okay, that's a lot of victims over here. Has there ever been a time when they crossed all the limits and annoyed you so much that you just wanted to take your phone and dial 911? Now, I'm not saying that you immediately call the cops, but what I am saying is that before you do so, just for a second, close your eyes and try to imagine a life where a part of your brain is underdeveloped. And because of this, you cannot empathize with others. Don't you think that you would be judged as well for being different? And if you agree with me, I would like to ask you all to open your minds and just try to put yourself in their shoes and ask yourself, is it fair to label them with derogatory terms such as lunatics and maniacs? Has there ever been a time in your life when you were just sitting in a corner minding your own business, but there was a one person who clearly wouldn't stop judging you? You're looking at them, but they're still giving you that judgmental look. The feelings that you felt because of that one look and the effect they had on you, it wasn't so great, was it? Now imagine how they would feel every single day of their life. The justice system, however, would treat people like Thanos and Tony Stark the exact same way, which is unfair, but psychopaths can also not be left in the open to commit crimes because according to statistics, they're 6 times more likely to commit crimes once released from the prison. So what should be done? According to the recent developments, there is no cure for psychopathy that has been successfully put into practice as of yet. No therapy can teach a person to empathize with others. It's like trying to guilt trip your parents into letting you stay out every night. The next thing you know, you have a shoe flying at your head. No pill or no vaccine is capable of doing that, is it? You know those times when you work so hard for something, but there's a weird sensation in your stomach that keeps on telling you that something's wrong, and no matter what you do, it just won't go away? I tend to want to run away from that feeling. Psychopaths, however, in this case, are lucky. They don't feel anything. No emotions, no empathy, no guilt, nothing. I don't know about you guys, but I know I would love to be uncaring at times. Just imagine a life where what people think of you does not even bother a single nerve of yours. Why would anyone want to come back from that uncaring state of mind? This is one of the most reasons why it is so important to treat it. It's so difficult to treat a psychopath, simply because they don't want to be treated. So, however, because in their mindsets, no emotions, no feelings mean no emotional baggage. And this allows them to do whatever they want to. But this life without any emotional baggage is not as easy as it seems. I'm not saying that I blame anyone, nor am I saying that this is always the case. But more than often, our first instinct to seeing a psychopath is to want to lock them up in a cage. And in my opinion, the only thing that is actually responsible for this is our lack of information on them. We need to realize that psychopaths are not different from us. They're normal humans just like us. And most of them lead normal lives just like us. Not all of them are criminals. And it may be shocking to know, but about 4% of the world's most renowned businessmen are psychopaths. Not just that, but about 10% of the people in the financial services industry, they're diagnosed with psychopathy. These people who only make up only 1% of the general population, but are so important to our society because they contribute to our economies, they are judged in various sectors of their lives. Be it at their workplace by their colleagues, or at the park by their friends, by their families who know them the best, or just by a stranger on the road who doesn't even know them. They're bullied mentally and physically. Why? Just because they have a part of their brain that is underdeveloped. You know those times when you were just being yourself, but someone decided that that was not enough and tried to put you down? The emotions you felt and the mental effect they had on you, it wasn't so great, was it? It seems like a dead end at this point, right? Well, I don't think so. Because after hours and hours of reading upon the internet, I came across a profound research that has been going on in various parts of the world. So, a group of researchers, they looked at the brain scans of about 300 prison inmates, and those diagnosed with psychopathy, they institutionalized them. And once they did that, they tried to teach them how to empathize with others. Sounds ridiculous, right? But here's how it works. So, it is very well known that psychopaths have a functional reactivity towards rewards, meaning if we were to bribe them with something, they're more likely to listen to us. This is exactly what they use as leverage in their research. They tried to teach them how to behave, and then they would monitor their behavior for any changes, no matter how small. And once noticed, they were rewarded. So as the prisoners continued their good behavior, the rewards would increase, from a candy to a pat on the shoulder to the allowance to play video games. So you see, they were being taught the benefits of living in a social society. And finally, after 6 months, when their brains were scanned again, guess what? There was a slight increase in the brain activity of some of the prisoners. You know those times when you work so hard for something and you finally get the outcome that you were looking for? The amazing feeling that you get. It's beautiful, isn't it? This is exactly what the researchers felt when they finally saw hope for recovery. However, at this point, I would like to make it clear that despite all this ongoing research, we haven't really moved forward because, as of now, this research hasn't been implemented anywhere. More than often, I've witnessed, and I'm sure you might have as well, seen people use the term psychopath to degrade or make fun of others without even knowing its true meaning. In my opinion, it isn't just a term that can be used to label anyone, It is much more than that and should not be used to make anyone feel inferior than you. Now, I'm not saying that we have to be understanding all the time, nor am I saying that we must always think before we speak, because I know that can be annoying and tiring at times. But what I am saying is that if we were to put in this little effort of just thinking before we speak, we have the ability to brighten up someone's day and give them a sense of belonging, something that we all desire. Just think back to the times when someone did considerate for you, something considerate for you, and thought of your well-being. The feelings that you got when you realized that they cared for you was amazing, wasn't it? If we were to do the same for them, we could make their day and encourage them to be a better version of themselves as much as they possibly can. And plus, when you help someone and you see that beautiful smile on their faces, that great feeling that you get, that's just an added bonus, isn't it? Now, I'm not saying that from this day forward we will all think and behave this way. But what I would like to do is that leave you all with something to think about. Just imagine a world where we all took the responsibility to brighten up the days of the people around us, where we didn't name call nor judge anyone, and where we all showed the same love and care to everyone that we show to the closest of our friends. What kind of a world do you think that would be? Do you think it would be a more positive and a happier place to live in? Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you all have a great day.